Hi, I'm Catherine Diorio. This week on Check Please, IT consultant Ron Perez says if you need a chicken fix, he's got the perfect place. He says for wings that will wow you and much more, you gotta try his selection. But educator Brittany Barton says her pick can teach us a thing or two about how to combine mouth-watering pizza, super service, and a fun vibe. Up first, account executive Danielle Blaze says if you want to add a little sizzle in your life, she knows just where to go. She says for any occasion where you want to feel like a star, follow her to River North and stop in at RPM Steak.
I think that we wanted sort of an old school layout, you know, the sunken dining room with the raised bar. It kind of reminded us of steakhouses from a different era.
Or grand dining room.
Yeah, grand dining rooms, and I think then pairing it with modern finishes for us kind of had that old school bones with a modern, comfortable feel.
Dining out is more than the sum of the food itself, right? People wouldn't invest in design and music and
Plateware and
plateware, you know, like the idea of eating out is much larger than the sum of just the food. We try to capture all of that.
It's a business that's a little bit like Hollywood, and people are more excited by restaurants and food than any other time. And so I feel very lucky to be able to get to do this every day, to get to work with some of the people we get to work with and do the things we do. I feel lucky.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig to like meet fun, interesting people and have good food. Like that is the ultimate job for a lot of people, and it's been, I think, the ultimate job for us.
So Danielle, you say that RPM Steak is splendid. Tell us why you chose it.
So I chose RPM Steak because in a city where there's a steak place on every block, RPM Steak's one that always sticks out in my mind. I recommend it to people. I go there for date night, for special occasions. I just think the atmosphere is kind of, there's nothing that compares to it right in River North in terms of steak places. I describe it to a lot of my friends and family as being on the set of like Mad Men. You know, it's like very like swanky. It's like almost like a different era. That aside, I think the food is fantastic. I have had the seafood tower for an appetizer. We've done carpaccio for an appetizer. And then my favorite, honestly, is the sides. You shouldn't go to a steak place for the sides. You go for the steak, which I do. But their sides, they have one that they say it's a special, but every time I've gone there, they've had it. And it's this truffled risotto with fresh shaved truffle on top. And if you like risotto, I'm telling you, you got to go back and you have to have it. And if they say it's not on special, say, okay, well, when is it back? Because I'm coming back. And it's just consistent for me.
I had a really good experience. I went during lunch with my wife one day, and we had the ahi tartare to start off with. It was awesome. It was really light. I had the steak frites. I thought was really good also. It was a bit on the salty side, but I like it that way. For most people, they might not, but for me, it was perfect. And then we ended with a tart, key lime tart, which was amazing. So such a good way to end the day. And I love the space too. The space was really big, really inviting. I can tell it's really meant for a special occasion. RPM has an association with the Rancics, and you know, usually celebrity names attached to restaurants may not always deliver on the goods.
Right.
But I was surprised. I was really surprised how good the food was overall. And so that really dispelled my thoughts about that.
Maybe I should have gone for lunch. Yeah, so we ordered the foie gras for the appetizer, and I thought it was phenomenal. It was topped with pistachio, and it was amazing. And you know, it's like butter; it just melted in your mouth. It was delicious. And then for the steak, I ended up going with the ribeye and as well as the Wagyu steak. And the Wagyu, which was, you know, a 3-ounce piece of steak, which I think I missed when he said it was 3 ounces. But unfortunately, that was the piece of steak. And so I did find it to be on the saltier side. And to pay, you know, $90 for a piece of steak and it's salty and it's not perfect, that was really disappointing for me.
Well, you know, with the 3-ounce portions, because you ordered the Japanese Wagyu, not the American Wagyu, and I think Many people are expecting, because with an American Wagyu, you're going to get normally a larger cut of meat than you do in Japanese. Very few people are able to actually source actual Japanese Wagyu.
Which is great,
so,
but it's got to be perfect.
Right. No, hey, and that's it, exactly. But it's on the price point of it. That's why the price is what it is.
I learned that afterwards.
I know for next time.
So, okay, we're going to get to dessert now, because I know you're dying to tell me. So tell me about the dessert.
The dessert was out of this world. We had the 14K chocolate cake, and it was everything a chocolate cake is supposed to be. Dark chocolate, perfect consistency. The cake was moist. I mean, it was incredible. We also ordered the pistachio creme brulee, and pistachio is okay, but everything that they put the pistachio on, I was like, wow, this is great.
It's located, obviously, in the bustling River North area. So, who is going here?
I will say I think it is a bit of a C and B scene type of spot.
Okay.
People, they don't skip out on any details when it comes to, how they look and everything like that. But I will also say that I am sure there are a lot of people with the RPM name, they know the kind of the celebrity behind it. And so you do get, I think, a fair amount of tourists there too.
Okay.
It's conveniently located to go in and then go out and do something else with your evening or afternoon.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about service. Did you feel you got good service here?
I thought it was okay.
Okay.
I think I've had better service in other restaurants. As far as, I did get that Mad Men kind of feel, so I know what you mean by that. And I guess for me, it felt more like nervous energy.
The service was pretty good, actually. Even from the moment we walked into the door, the hostess was very sweet, very nice to us. Got seated. The person that served us, I forget his name, he was a lovely man, but he had a white jacket on, pressed pants, very dressed to the nines, and made us feel like we were the only ones there.
Well, Danielle, you chose RPM Steak. Sum it up for us.
I would sum it up as excellent atmosphere, fantastic food, and even more exceptional service.
Brittany?
Okay restaurant. It's a place for special occasions. Definitely go for the dessert.
Okay. And Ron?
Great space, great food. If you go for lunch, definitely very affordable. I would definitely go back.
You can see the scene for yourself at RPM Steak, 66 West Kinsey Street, 312-284-4990. Open for lunch Monday through Friday and for dinner every day. Reservations are recommended, and the average tab per person without drinks is $85. If you challenged Ron Perez to a contest to find the best chicken in Chicago, he'd say game on. He says for the most succulent, memorable experience around town, the best bird is on Broadway at his selection called Crisp.
As soon as the customer walks in, first they need to understand that we're fast casual, we're counter service, it's communal seating, no reservations. My parents don't get reservations. My priest doesn't get reservations. My friends don't get reservations, so there's nothing I can do about that. So it's first come, first served. I was born overseas, so I grew up in a Korean household. My parents were in the restaurant business, so I grew up with this food. So the concept of the Korean fried chicken is a specialty fried chicken, and then it's sauced with Korean flavors or Korean sauces. Now what I've taken is my upbringing in the States was like American fried chicken, and then infused the two together. My parents were in the restaurant business. She's like, this is never going to work. This concept, no. You're ruining 1,000 years of tradition, mixing and matching these American flavors and Korean flavors. But just the fact of someone that comes in, enjoys it enough that they're going to bring a friend or a relative over, that means everything.
So Ron, you say crisp is surprisingly wonderful. Why'd you choose it?
I chose crisp because obviously it's known for its wings, its chicken wings, and I think they're probably the best in the city. Wow. I know there's a lot of competition out there for wings, but when I bite into that crispy, honey glazed chicken wing, I almost want to cry how good it is. Seriously, because
everyone's like salivating.
It's really that good. I feel that it's there's something about it that makes it unique and makes it special than other fried chicken places.
And you travel, so you grew up in Lakeview, and then you moved to the other side of town, and you still travel across town to get there.
Yeah, I live in the northwest side, and I travel whatever it is, 8 miles to that location because I know what I'm going to get. So
let me see what Danielle thinks.
You're dedicated. I'll say that, because what I will say is I have heard a number of people recommend over the years crisp. Never have been until this occasion, and so I wasn't let down. You are absolutely hitting the nail on the head when you're talking about these big, juicy chicken wings. They're huge. And I will say we got chicken wings, and we got one of the steak bowls with rice. Steak bowl with rice was exactly what I just described it as. So it wasn't anything too special, but the wings, next time I go back, we're not doing anything but that. My one knock would be, and not that I have to have one, is just when you're eating a wing, especially that big, you need a little elbow space.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's so crammed. I was sitting there trying not to elbow this random girl next to me, but I had no problem elbowing who I was with. I was like, oh, sorry. But so glad you recommended it, and so glad I finally had a reason to get up there, because it's kind of off the beaten path for me too. So thank you.
What'd you think, Brittany?
I thought it was excellent. I love the chicken wings. They will make you cry, and not because they're just so amazing. I love that it was just you just sit back and you eat and you get dirty, and it's like family style. And I love that you can put the sauce and the glaze on the chicken wing, and yet it's still crispy. Yeah. That is so hard to do, and they nailed it. And we also got the bowl of bibimbap, is what it is. And so we got the bibimbap bowl, or I forget what they call it, the Buddha
bowl.
Yeah, the Buddha bowl.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great too. So it kind of reminded me, from Louisiana, so it reminds me a little bit of dirty rice almost, with the steak mixed in. And so it sort of had that same sort of feel to me. And then you had, the kimchi, just as, it kind of helped to cleanse your palate, and then you go back to the chicken wings, of course, because there's nothing else to do but to eat the chicken wings. Yeah, so I thought it was phenomenal. It was a great restaurant.
It's double fried, but the first time it's in a pressure fryer. And so they do it kind of slow and low, and then they flash fry it in a regular fryer, and that's what gets it that kind of crackly, like when you bite into it, it just shatters almost.
It's the best fried chicken in the world, in my opinion. And I'm going to Korea. I'll be in Korea for a little while this year, so I'm definitely...
We'll see whose is better.
You can test the authenticity.
I'm excited.
I will also say what I appreciated about it was a very diverse crowd in there. There was every walk of life, all the way from students up to people, probably in their 60s. I don't know. So it was fun, and you're eating these chicken wings, which are not a pretty thing to eat, and you're wanting the sauce because they have homemade sauces on the table, and you're kind of nudging the person next to you with all this juice on your hands, and she's grabbing it and doing this, and so it was really cool. It felt very communal. I loved it.
Right. It's just, you're just there for the food. You're there for that, but the charm, the tables, how cramped it is, it just adds to the overall atmosphere, and it just makes me feel very comfortable. I don't feel uncomfortable whatsoever when I go there.
Because you grew up in Lakeview, can we talk a little bit about Lakeview, I guess, kind of even how it's changed?
The area has gone through an evolution. I went to school there back in the 80s, so to see how it's gone from this very kind of almost industrial, kind of a lowbrow neighborhood to a very clean and vibrant neighborhood. I love the neighborhood so much. I really enjoy going back there, and that's one reason I go to Crisp, just so I can go there and then hang around the neighborhood and just shop. So But the neighborhood definitely is a reflection of the restaurant itself as well.
Ron, you chose Crisp. Sum it up for us.
Crisp is a cozy, casual eatery made with Korean food with an American twist. If you order the Soul Sassy chicken wings and the Soul Steak Bowl, you will leave with a smile on your face, guaranteed.
Okay. And Danielle?
I would say best chicken wings. Definitely a bang for your buck. You know, we got 2 entrees for $32 and had enough left over for like 2 days. And street parking would be the other thing to note if you're traveling to the neighborhood.
And Brittany?
If you've heard the term finger licking chicken, this is where you go. This is the spot. It's amazing.
You can try the chicken and more at Crisp, 2940 North Broadway Street, 773-697-7610. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations are not accepted. Alcohol is BYOB, and the average tab per person is $10. When a new restaurant opens in her neighborhood, Brittany Barton hopes it's a winner. That's why she's been overjoyed with the quality and consistency of her selection. She says for a delightful Italian experience, follow her to Avondale and check out Pisolino.
You always want things to be memorable, right? And then the question is, what is that memory and what triggers that memory? For me, like the smell when I walk in the door, like that's a memory, right? So that instantly, when you walk in, you get this feeling of like cozy. You don't get cozy in a lot of restaurants, right?
I spent a long time in Italy. I spent about 2 years learning from a master when I was in Verona. And you know, it was always something that when I came back to Chicago, I wanted to incorporate into my menu, and it came out pretty nice.
This is so approachable, just kind of that, wow, I can take anyone there, I can go there anytime, I can go there in high heels, I can go there in flip-flops. It doesn't matter, you know, come as you are. And really that takeaway of James's food, setting a bar that they didn't expect walking in the door.
So Brittany, you say Pisolino's pizzas are perfect. Why'd you choose it?
I love Pisolino. It's definitely different, and their pizzas are phenomenal. He plays around with ingredients, he pairs certain flavors that you wouldn't expect him to pair, and I just find every time I go and I have the pizza, I have such a great experience, and I feel like my taste buds are really happy.
Is it just a pizza place?
No, it's not a pizza place. They also serve pasta, and some of the pasta is phenomenal as well. It's all handmade, and so he does pasta, and then of course dessert.
I know, you're a dessert gal. Right? So what do you think, Danielle?
I thought it was exceptional. Definitely like a hole-in-the-wall type place, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
Like walking past it, unless you're told to go there or something like that, I don't know how you would ever find it.
Right.
Had a lovely experience. We did pizza, and we did an eggplant, like tapenade appetizer, which I'm not a fan of eggplant, but if you like eggplant, it's like a cold appetizer on a little toasty bread. It was very good. But the entree that like kind of stole the show for myself and my husband was the bucatini carbonara. And him and I both, they set it down, it's like this giant bowl of pasta, and I'm like, there's no way we're gonna finish this. We were fighting over the last bite, like the forks are going back and forth. So it was so good. And bucatini is not something you typically have with carbonara, so it was so good. They're going for kind of tasteful, like natural food. They want the flavors of the food and ingredients to speak for themselves.
Very in line with traditional Italian culinary
Yes.
philosophy.
It was really cool.
Let the ingredients speak for themselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What'd you think, Ron?
I loved it. I love this place so much. It was so good. It reminded me of the food we had when my wife and I went to Italy back in 2007. You know, the way I termed it is it's a new school space with an old school taste. It's just, it has such a great flavor to everything that we've had. We started off with the meatballs, and you know, once we cut into it, we just see the steam coming out of it. And I love when food comes out hot and steamy.
Right.
It's got to be hot and steamy for me. We also had the eggplant parmigiana, and that was amazing. It was a breaded cut of eggplant covered with a very tasty tomato sauce. We would find whole pieces of garlic in the sauce, and we loved it because it just added so much flavor to what you're eating. We thought that was amazing. We also had the pizza as well. We ordered the arugula and prosciutto pizza, and you know, coming from Chicago, being a pizza snob that I am, you know, you're used to thick deep dish pizza, but there's this thin crust with a very kind of caramelized crust. I love prosciutto, and the arugula was so fresh. It was such a pleasant flavor. Biting into that pizza, I loved it so much.
As well, it's delicious.
So let's talk a little bit more about some of the other types of pizzas they have.
They have the Donatello, which is whole roasted garlic with roasted tomato and cheese. Just pull off the pizza where you're just, you want to like bite the pizza. But just an incredible dish, and everything is fresh and amazing. They also have the margarita and the Raquel, and they'll do like the whipped ricotta cheese on there. And
That was when they were pumping out while we were there, and I was kind of like, will that table share with us, or is it just our table that shares?
And some of these pizzas, I always go to a place and I don't want to eat vegetarian. I want my meat. I like my meat. But with these pizzas, I don't miss the meat because I feel like, it stands for itself. It's so flavorful that, if you go with a friend who's a vegetarian, you don't need the meat. It's fine, and you're going to be okay with that.
Yeah, because they have a lot of heartier options, and so just things that'll give you that umami flavor, but even without the meat.
I feel like I'm in a restaurant where it could be, fine dining, but it's very casual, which I also appreciate.
You felt like everyone that was there was just having a good time, like chatting with friends. There were groups, there were dates. It was a nice mix of them both, and everyone just seemed happy to be in each other's presence and having good food at the same time.
And I also think too, with the service there, I feel like I'm at home when I'm there. I can always have a conversation with the wait staff. If there's something that I don't understand or something I can't pronounce, they explain it to me, and we have great conversations, and I never feel rushed. I never feel like I'm out of my element, and I really appreciate that about this restaurant.
It's worth the trip. I mean, it's definitely not in an area where it's abundant with other restaurants or even just walking, like a Lakeview or Bucktown or Wicker Park. You have to get there. But I think if you know about it, and you'll make the trip there because the food is there. It's just exceptional. You have to make a trip out there.
Well, Brittany, you chose Pisolino. Sum it up for us.
This is an incredible restaurant and a great atmosphere. And if you're looking for a great experience and amazing pizza, go to Pisolino.
And Danielle?
Excellent. Bucatini carbonara. Like, we'll definitely be going back and be fighting over it. That was really cool.
Awesome. And Ron?
A wonderful, quaint space that serves excellent Italian food that reminds me of being in Italy. So definitely be back.
You can try the pizza, pastas, and more at Pisolino, 2755 West Belmont Avenue, 773-293-6025. Open for dinner Tuesday through Saturday. Reservations are accepted, and the average tab per person without drinks is $25. So in this week's show, we featured RPM Steak in River North, Crisp in Lakeview, and Pisolino in Avondale. Let's recap what our guests had to say. First, we stopped by Kinsey Street and tried RPM Steak. Danielle recommends it for an excellent ambiance and exquisite cuisine for special occasions. Brittany wasn't pleased with her entree, but thought the dessert was phenomenal. Ron was pleasantly surprised with his delicious lunch and enjoyed the space and atmosphere. Then we brought you to Broadway and checked out Crisp. Ron recommends it for amazing Korean chicken wings in a fun, friendly restaurant. Brittany adored the restaurant and said the food was finger-licking good. Danielle said it just might be the best chicken in Chicago, and she enjoyed every bite. Lastly, we bolted to Belmont and stopped in at Pisolino. Brittany recommends it for tasty pizzas and pastas that always leave her taste buds happy. Danielle thought it was a wonderful hidden gem with exceptional Italian fare. Ron absolutely loved the restaurant and said it reminded him of being in Italy. We've had a wonderful time this week. I want to thank my guests, Danielle Blaze, Ron Perez, and Brittany Barton. Join us next week for 3 new guests recommending 3 of their favorite restaurants right here on Check Please. I'm Catherine Diorio, and I'll see you then. Cheers again.
Cheers. That was fun. Wasn't as nervous as I thought.
For more information about the restaurants featured on Check Please, go to WTTW.com/checkplease.